Hey guys, it's Greg with BuyTheBootstraps.com, btbootstraps.com. Check out the store, check out the social media. I wanted to talk about the incident in Philadelphia where the gentleman, well, I don't really want to say gentleman, the young African-American male, 27 years old, Walter Wallace, was shot by two police officers. And not really about that incident, it's more or less what's going on in Philadelphia, like so many other cities around our nation currently, where sadly you have an incident where it was a minority male got shot by two police officers. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen the videos, but I did, and they were available Tuesday. I think some of it might have been available Monday, give or take, but I'm not 100% certain because I didn't see it Monday. I just heard what had happened. But anyway, police were called out to Mr. Wallace's home 3 times that day, twice previously before the incident occurred. Police go out there a third time, and they confront this man. He's wielding a knife and he's actively charging at the police officers. In the video that I watched, which was recorded by a bystander in a vehicle, you can hear the cops telling the Mr. Wallace, drop the knife, drop the knife, drop the knife, drop the knife. I think they probably said it 20 times in that time frame. While the video is playing, you can see Mr. Wallace, he's walking around the cars, he's charging. There's another woman who's trying to intervene. She's begging him to drop the knife. The cops are telling him to repeatedly drop the knife. And then eventually he turns on the police and he starts actively engaging with the police, including like when I say charging, I mean he was kind of like running / walking towards the police with the knife brandished. It's clearly seen. And so the cops unfortunately had to end the threat, and they shot him. They shot him several times, or at least several shots were fired. I don't know how many times Wallace was hit directly, they have it said. But he ended up dying at the hospital. So they got him in a squad car, they got him down to the hospital. I think it was on the way to the hospital or shortly after arriving at the hospital, he died from his injuries. And that's the incident that occurred, but that's not really the story here. The real story is now Philadelphia has had 2 nights, and by all accounts this will probably be, because this is Wednesday the 28th, so probably tonight as well you're going to have another American city just destroyed by so-called protesters, peaceful protesters. Buildings are being burned down, places are being looted. There's been more additional shots fired by other individuals. You had on the first night of these protesting, 30 police officers were injured. 1 cop was deliberately ran over, and I believe he suffered a broken leg injury. So we do pray for the officers out there in Philadelphia, just like we do for the ones in Minneapolis, like we do for the ones in Portland, we do for the ones in Seattle and things like that. But the real issue is every time this happens, and it so happens to be a minority shot by a police officer. The police officer can be black or white, but it doesn't seem to matter. Anytime the police engage in activities where someone of a minority status is killed, primarily when it comes to skin color, primarily when it comes to African Americans, somehow this is key code for, hey, let's go loot and riot and destroy our city and burn down everything. Because I really want to know, where's the social justice, where's the equality to loot and raid and burn down and destroy Foot Locker and to steal the newest sneakers? Where's the equality and the justice for looting and raiding and destroying Walmart? You know, walking out with that big screen TV or jewelry or whatever you might be grabbing from there. I'd like to know, what exactly did the Rite Aid convenience store out there, there's several of them, what did that have to do with civil justice or social justice or equality? I mean, nothing. These are individuals, from what we can tell, a lot of them don't even live in the neighborhood that Wallace was shot, are coming out of the woodwork, are being bussed in, and they're taking advantage of these incidences, which do happen, but not at the level of which people claim they do. And they're using this as an opportunity to essentially just raise hell. And no one within government is actually putting a stop to this. You know, here in Minneapolis, and I've said this before, our city, is essentially destroyed. You know, it was bad enough we were under lockdown because of COVID, and then George Floyd was killed, you know. But that set off an entire string of events that happened here in downtown, where there literally is no more downtown in the sake that what I remember when I lived down there. You know, a lot of it's gone, a lot of it's destroyed, a lot of businesses are gone. You know, Lake Street down there looks like a war zone still. They just now finally got permits, and this happened back in May. They just now finally got permits that the state has, or the city has given to these business owners, where they can go in and they can remove the rubble that was created at the time. You know, so if you go down there now, it's just it's not lively or vibrant. It's a hellhole, and that's kind of what these people are doing to a lot of these cities. Baltimore, you know, Atlanta, again, Portland, you know, Seattle, places like that. I mean, they look like war zones because these people are allowed to go in there, and in the name of equality and racial equity and fairness, it's like a calling card and a get out of jail card to just do whatever the hell you want to, and these people are not being held accountable. They had 91 arrests on the first evening of this you know, of this rioting and looting. They like to keep calling it peaceful protesting, but I'm sorry, it's not. The moment you pick up a brick, a knife, a gun, a baton, a piece of wood, a cinder block, a Molotov cocktail, any of that crap, and the moment you pick something up and you use it to hurt or damage or steal or break or destroy someone else's property or possessions, then that's no longer a peaceful protest. That is a riot. Going into these businesses who had nothing to do with this, by the way. It wasn't even in the same neighborhood. But going in and destroying and stealing and taking what's not yours in the name of equality and racial equity, what are you doing? And the sad part is that the majority of these cases, especially a lot of the recent ones that have happened, and this is true for all nationalities, it's true for all ethnic groups, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what your skin tone is. Most of these people get into the situations they get into because they refuse to comply with police. Had Wallace listened to the police, it would have never escalated to being shot. Had he put the knife down, now they're saying that, oh, he suffered from mental issues, he suffered that. Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, you have a dead man, and you have two cops who had literally no choice. And people go, well, why didn't they tase them? Because they didn't have tasers on them. Well, why didn't they shoot them in the leg? Because it's really hard to hit a moving target, especially something as small as appendage as a leg or an arm. You know, that right there is fantasy talk from people who know nothing about guns, or how to assess threats, or how to stop an action of violence, or stop someone who is advancing on you with the intent to harm you. I mean, it's like saying something stupid like, why didn't you just shoot the knife out of their hand? Because that's, unless you're an expert marksman, that is literally impossible. You have a better chance of getting dumb lucky than actually doing it on purpose. Especially when you keep in mind that that marksman shot that you're talking about, the knife is doing this as he's running. It's not like he's holding it perfectly still out in his hand and he's just leaving it there. But let's just say he was holding it perfectly still and he wasn't moving, then yes, there's maybe a possibility that a police officer could hit a piece of steel that wide. I mean, that long, but maybe that wide. Maybe they can get lucky and hit that from 10 meters away. You know, I'm not saying it can't be done, it's just very unlikely. But when you take that same knife, again, that long, that wide, and it's bouncing around, that ain't gonna happen. But that's not what police officers are trained to do, and it would be foolish to say that. You know, that's like, again, hit him in the leg, hit him in the arm. Have you ever shot something that small while it's moving? Could you do that? No, neither should they. They should go for center mass because that's the largest target. It's how you stop a threat as quickly as humanly possible while protecting others around you. I mean, that's also another thing these morons don't think about. What if you shoot at his leg and you miss and that bullet ricochets off the ground and hits a kid in their house, you know, minding their own business? Or that bullet ricochets off the ground or strikes a vehicle that was passing by that had nothing to do with this incident, but now you got an innocent individual who was shot. People don't think about that. It's unrealistic crap. But if these men mainly would just listen and comply with the police officers, doesn't matter if they're white, doesn't matter if they're black, doesn't matter if they're Latino, Hispanic, doesn't matter if they're Asian. I mean, I know a whole bunch of different ethnic people who work for the police department. Hey, if they would just listen and comply, most of these incidences that ended up in death would have never happened. I don't blame the police officers for shooting this man. I mean, what are you supposed to do when a man who you've been called out to twice already in the same day for domestic disturbances is coming at you with a knife, and you're telling him, drop the knife, drop your weapon, and he still continues to advance on you? What are you supposed to tell that police officer? They did what they had to do, and sadly, thank you, Kat. Sadly, Wallace died. But George Floyd is another example. Had he listened to the police officers, had he complied, had he not been so spastic, he probably would have lived. Eric Gardner's another example. I'm sorry that it happened, but had he listened, had he followed what the police officers told him, he would be alive. Michael Brown's another one. Had he listened to what the police told him to do, as opposed to charging the police officer, he would be alive. That moron in Atlanta, and I forgive me because I can't remember his name, he's dead because, again, he didn't listen to the police and he got argumentative and got confrontational. Well, he was even tased twice and still managed to get shot. And the body camera that was on the police officer shows exactly what happened. Start listening. But more importantly, don't take these tragic incidents, and it is tragedy. Anytime someone loses their life because of something like this, as much as I disagree with the actions that led up to it from the individual, it doesn't mean I want them to die. You never want to see the loss of human life, especially unnecessary. But you can't blame the police for the actions of other people. If we just start listening and complying, this would go away. But that also doesn't give the rest of us, the people who are still around in these towns, that doesn't give you permission to go into these areas, these places that had nothing to do with this incident, and use it as an excuse to loot, riot, steal, destroy, threaten, hurt other individuals. Anyway, comment below, let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you later.